What's up, guys? It's Jacob with the Degenerate Gambling Life, and we have a really good episode for you today. Starting off, we're going to be looking at the first two rounds of CBS Sports Fantasy Football Mock Draft. They've got CMC, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, and Breece Hall as the top four picks. I have my big board a little bit different. I'm fine with the top three picks, but I have the top tier of fantasy players this season as CMC, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, and Justin Jefferson. I think any combination of those players in the top four is fine. Personally, I'm probably going CMC, CeeDee, Justin Jefferson, and then Tyreek Hill, but I think that's the clear-cut tier one. Then for tier two, I would have Amon-Ra, Breece Hall, and Puka. And this is especially true in PPR. Amon-Ra had 119 catches last year, and Puka had 105. Both these guys are absolute studs, and I would take them. At 5 and 6, Breece Hall is also an absolute menace in the passing game. He had 76 receptions last year, and he's as explosive as any player in the league, and he should have another monster year. Again, I would take him 7th, but you can take these guys in any order here, I think, and it'll be just fine. For tier 3, I have Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, and Jonathan Taylor. I think these are the guys that should be going in the back half of the first round, and I think you can also throw Saquon Barkley in this tier as well. All these guys have huge upside going into the season. I like Gibbs for his receiving and big playability, and also because I think he can be the goal line guy for Detroit. Bijan should also be in for a monster year as well with a new coaching staff and an offense that is going to be able to get into the red zone more often. Chase will be getting Joe Burrow back and clearly is a superstar, but will the consistency be there this year? That's the $1 million question, and obviously I think A.J. Brown and Jonathan Taylor are in for big years again. And then just to touch on the second round briefly, I think Garrett Wilson is slotted about right. I think Marvin Harrison is way too high. He should have a great year, but I'm still not taking him over Brandon Ayuk or Michael Pittman in PPR leagues who are in the third round of this CBS Sports draft. Kyren Williams' stock has fallen a little bit too much for me in this draft. That kind of reminds me of Kenneth Walker last season. Williams is still going to be the workhorse as long as he's healthy, and I think he's a great value in the second round. You got to remember Blake Corum only has third round draft capital. Last year, Charbonnet had second round. Josh Jacobs, I think, is a little overrated in this mock. He's a great player. He should have a good year, but I would not have him ahead of Pacheco, Cook, and Rashad White in PPR formats. And the last thing I'm going to say about this mock is that Ayuk and Pittman should be second-round picks. If they fall to the third round, you're getting absolutely excellent value.
On this week's Fantasy Football Player Debate, we have Christian McCaffrey, my boy CMC, who is fresh off of his best rushing season where he put up 1,459 yards on 5.4 yards per attempt and 91.2 yards per game. You add in the receiving, and he was far and above the best running back in the league, RB1 for sure. You got to think, even if he takes a step back, it still puts him probably in the top 3 running backs. What you got, Jacob?
Look, Jordan, the facts are that it's nearly impossible to repeat as running back one from year to year. CMC is coming off more than 330 touches and has injury history. We also do typically see running backs begin to regress when they hit 28 years old. So I like CMC to still have a big year, but I do expect some regression and for another running back to be the king in fantasy this season.
Excuse me, sir. Would you like another hot take?
Yeah, definitely. Keep them coming.
All right, let's jump into the hot takes. First up, the Dallas Mavericks. They're better with Tim Hardaway Jr. out. I get it. Whenever he's hot, he can be like J.R. Smith was for the Cavs when they went on their playoff run. But unfortunately, this whole year, Tim Hardaway, he's not really had his stroke. And the Mavericks are a lot better with Hardy kind of stepping in, but also just having that rotation and no real set sixth man and kind of helps him. And I think it'll be better for them taking on the OKC Thunder. Next, the Dallas Stars. Thank goodness they won. I think they kind of needed that tough series. Getting punched in the mouth, losing those first 2 games really helped them. But now they got the Colorado Avalanche. Hopefully they can find a way to beat them up. Then they'll beat the last 2 Stanley Cup champions. And I think that makes it a pretty clear path for the Stars to win the Stanley Cup for the first time since 1999, hopefully. Here you go, Jordan.
Thanks, Josh. I had a busy weekend, cleaning out my garage here that I'm trying to get ready, and I had some family over today, and I'm kind of feeling myself because my nephew, my 7-year-old nephew, he was over and he was challenging me to some foot races. Well, guess what? I'm the fastest one in my family. And I'll take it a step further. I'm the fastest one on this YouTube channel. I'm probably faster than anybody watching this, and if anybody wants to challenge me to a race, you can meet me at the Illinois-Wisconsin border, and I will take you on in any kind of sprint you want to do because I'm faster than all y'all. The only thing you guys are probably faster than me at is losing your money at the poker table, you bunch of scrubs. Come at me. You know where to find me. Take it away with your hot takes, Jacob.
Thank you, Jordan. And my hot take for the week is that Marvin Harrison Jr. is overrated in redraft fantasy football leagues this season. He's going at the top end of the second round in a lot of drafts right now. I think that's just way too high. I know he's going to have a great career, and he could even be headed for Canton one day. But let's slow down a little bit. He is just a rookie going into his first season, and he's going ahead of guys like Brandon Ayuk and Michael Pittman, even Devontae Adams. I think I would be taking over him in redraft. When it comes to Dynasty, I think his value is just right, but in redraft leagues, I would not be taking him over Sam Laporta. I would not be taking him over Kyron Williams or Saquon Barkley. So I think let's hold our horses a little bit, move him down probably to the bottom of the second round or early third round is where he should be going. So right now I would not be taking him, and I would be getting values in Brandon Ayuk and Michael Pittman Jr.
My hot take of the week is that the Kansas City Chiefs are primed to repeat as Super Bowl champions. Yes, a lot of us might be thinking they are the favorite, and it's because they are. They're the best team, and on top of that, if you think back to this time last year, their starting receivers were Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore, as well as Travis Kelce, of course, at tight end. But now they have Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, Marquise Brown, and Xavier Worthy. So they have 3 receivers better than any receiver on their team last year. I think their offense is going to explode, and I'd definitely be looking to target them in fantasy this year.
This is a poker hand I played at Shuffle 512 in Austin, Texas at 1-2 stakes. In this hand, the straddle was on, so we were playing 1-2-5. One player limped to the MP, who made it $25 to go. I'm next to act in the low jack and pick up ace queen of hearts. Usually this is going to be a 3-bet, but here I decided to just call, and now the hijack, button, big blind, and the limper call. So we're going 5 ways to a flop that comes jack 10-6 with 2 hearts, so we flop the nut flush draw, a backdoor straight draw, and 2 overs. It checks to the original raiser, who bets 75, and I decide to go for it here and rip it all in for 235. I'm going to need to have bluffs here if I want to raise with my value hands. I'm going to have jacks, 10s, and 6s here, and I'm also going to have some bluffs, and this is one I decided to do it with since I have those overs as some extra outs just in case I'm up against jacks. I'm up against queens or ace jack, something like that here. I have a lot of equity versus most of his hands, so I do like this bluff. He makes the call, and we run it once. We pick up an open-ended straight on the turn, and we drill the flush on the river to scoop an over $600 pot. This is a poker hand I played at TCH in Austin, Texas. In this hand, one player limped, and I raised on the button to $15 with King Queen of Diamonds. Only the limper called, so we go heads up to a flop, which comes King King 4 with 2 spades. It checks to me, and I bet $10 as I don't want to scare him off, and I'm also trying to induce him to potentially raise here, but he doesn't take the bait, and he just calls. The turn comes a brick deuce, he checks, and I bet $35, and he calls once again. The river now comes in offsuit 3, and when he checks to me, I think I have no choice but to go all in for my last $94. So I do jam here, and he calls it off pretty quickly, and we are good.
We are playing 1-2 at WinStar. Limps to me. I'm in middle position, and I look down at 7-5 of diamonds, and I limp. Gets it cut off. He makes it $12. Now I call, and 4 other people call, so we are going 6 ways to the flop. The flop is the 10 of diamonds, the queen of diamonds, and the king of hearts. It checks and flow to the original bettor, who makes it 10. Now, they're in gun plus 2, bets $40. I debate folding, but then I tell myself if I'm playing 7-5 of diamonds, a flush draw is definitely one of the outcomes I wanted. So I make the call, and so does the original bettor. The turn is the 8 of diamonds. It checks to me, and I know my flush is very vulnerable, so I'll lead out for $172. The original better folds. Now, under a gun, check raises, all in. Spidey sense tell me to fold, but $70 to win a $700 pot, and I call. The river is a 6 of spades, and he shows H jack of diamonds for the super nuts. He flopped a straight, turned the flush, and I just bet into him. What would you guys have done in that hand? Would you have folded whenever he checked raised on the flop? All right, we got a juicy one for you. Still playing 1-2 at Windstar. It's with everyone's favorite hand that we all love and hate. All right, let's get into it. Again, 1-2 at Windstar, and it limps to the cutoff, who makes it $10. I look down at ace king of diamonds, and I 3-bet to 48. And we get 5 callers. All of them were limpers, and we go 6 ways to a flop. The flop is the ace of hearts, the 9 of hearts, the 6 of clubs. I decide I'm going to rip it all in because my stack is just a little over a pot, and I get snap called by the big blind and the earn gun +1, so I figure I can't be good. The turn is the 9 of spades, which makes me feel a little bit better, and the river's the 10 of clubs, which I hate because it makes a few straights get there and a couple more 2-pair combination. When we show our ace king, the big blind shows 6-5 of hearts, and then the earn gun +1 had ace jack offsuit, so we scoop a massive $1,500 pot. We love it, and this is one of the few times that we are loving ace king.
Welcome to Miller Time. I'm Kevin Miller with The Degenerate Gambling Life, and on today's episode, I'm going to discuss some of the best ball stacks to target, especially if you're drafting now, which you should be if you're trying to win. If you're drafting on Underdog, you have an 18-round format, and if you're drafting on DraftKings, you have a 20-round format. There's a few other differences, such as half point versus full point PPR, but in general, the strategies stay the same regardless of the format and platform you're playing on. So, in the early part of your draft, you should be looking to target the Houston Texans with Stephon Diggs coming off in round 2. Really, if you want to grab any of those receivers besides Dell in round 2 and Stroud in round 3 and Mixon in round 4, you can kind of do a round 2 through 6 stack with the Houston Texans. Just play around with it and see what you like. If you're going to for an early to mid stack, I'd be looking at the Kansas City Chiefs, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes. These guys are coming off the board around round 3 or 4. You can pick up Pacheco a round or 2 later, as well as all 3 wide receivers seem to be going in the 5th or 6th round right now. So if you want to grab more than one receiver and Kelce and Mahomes, you have to kind of jump around early to get this stack, which I totally sign off on. Now, if you're looking towards the middle part of your draft, you're going to be looking to target my beloved Chicago Bears. That's Caleb Williams, any of their receivers, such as Keenan Allen or DJ Moore. Those will be the first guys you're taking in this stack. And you can complete it with Odunze or Swift or Komet. There's a ton of pieces here in the middle of your draft for the Chicago Bears. But I'd be looking to pair up Caleb with at least 1 or 2 of those guys. Now, once you get to the middle to later portion of your draft, I'd be looking to target the Washington Commanders with Jaden Daniels, Austin Eckler, Terry McLaurin. There's a few other receivers in the mix as well. Dotson, Luke McCaffrey, Ben Sinnott, the tight end, maybe even Brian Robinson. There's a ton of players going in the mid to late portion of your draft from Washington. I think you can pair Daniels up with 1 or 2 of them and get a nice stack. And finally, if you missed out on your early stacks, don't worry. You still got a nice looking team. You didn't pair your quarterback to wide receiver combo yet, but don't worry. The Denver Broncos are here to save the day. Literally all of their pieces are dirt cheap. The first one coming off the board is Javonte Williams in round 8 through 10. And then from there you can pretty much stack with one of your last round picks. You can grab Bo Nix. Take your pick at wide receiver, whether you think it's going to be Sutton, Mims, or the rookie Franklin to pair with Nix. I like that Oregon connection. I think that might be a sneaky. It's not very sneaky, but it's going to be sneaky because people are going to be off the Broncos after last year. But let's not forget what Sean Payton's known for. He's known for his offensive ingenuity. I think the Broncos bounced back really hard this year. So make sure you're targeting these. Let me know if you think I missed the boat on any of these or teams that I left out. Leave a comment And make sure you hit like and subscribe because we really appreciate all of your support. Until next time, Miller Time out.
Soccer hooligans.
Welcome back to another edition of the Added Minutes. This week we have nothing but Premier League news for you. And we're going to start off with Ipswich Town, who has gained successive promotion from the third tier of English football to the Premier League, becoming only the fifth club to do that. They joined Watford, who did it in 98-99, Man City, who did it in 1999-2000, Norwich, who did it in 2010-2011, and Southampton, who did it in 2011-2012. We'll see how they fare this coming season. It's not looking good, but this is why we play the games, because you never know. Can they stay up for 2 seasons? I don't think so, but we'll give them a shot. Let's just put it that way. We're not going to rag on them too hard because it is quite the feat to go from third tier to Premier League in 2 years. Next up on our list, Liverpool news. Arne Slot seems set to become the new manager once Klopp departs at the end of the season. Last month, Slot said that he wanted the job, but Liverpool are showing some respect to Feyenoord, who is Slot's current club, by not announcing anything yet. However, Slot has said in an interview, "Sometimes in life, opportunities come along and you have to listen. I have made that choice for myself. In the next days and weeks, you will see the announcement." Now, that's end quote. Slot was linked to the Tottenham job last season, and he turned it down to stay at Feyenoord. And to kind of paraphrase what he said in another interview was that he has made his decision, and it is different from his last decision. So it's not really too cryptic. The writing's kind of on the wall there. And it does seem he is going to be a Liverpool manager next year. They have not announced it yet, but I would keep an eye out for that because everywhere seems to be reporting that this is going down. That's all we got for you guys today. Oh, wait, I completely forgot. I didn't forget. I almost forgot to put in this segment. Chelsea absolutely battered the Hammers, the West Ham Hammers, 5-0 this weekend. And I know it's really not much considering we're only in 7th place, possibly dropping back down to 8th, depending on how Man United does on Monday, aka yesterday by the time this airs. However, I'm feeling myself this weekend because we whooped on the Hammers. I hope you guys have a good week, except for you, Grant Richards.
Okay, for your fancy baseball talk this week, we're going to talk about players that might hurt you, but it's time to start looking at dropping them because it's been well over a month. You drafted them with high hopes, but they have disappointed you. First up, Gabriel Monroe. I know he's a catcher. You probably spent a decent pick on him because his upside was tantalizing the way he played last year, but he's player 542. For the season, he's given you 9 runs, zero home runs, 14 RBIs, 0 stolen bases, and that's part of the reason why you liked him. He's given you some home runs and stolen bases and a 241 batting average. If you've been hanging on to him, let him go because there's better catcher options on the waiver wire. Next, Gleyber Torres, New York Yankees. Hurts me to say this. It's your contract year. I was hoping you put up some monster numbers, but your player number 495. 15 runs, not too bad, but 1 home run, 7 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, and a 221 batting average. You got to do better than Gleyber. I hope you put together so you can get you a decent deal. But for the time being, fancy baseball, we got to say goodbye to you, Gleyber. Finally, Mitch Keller, Pittsburgh Pirates. He definitely looked like he should have been your pitcher 3 with possibly pitcher 2 upside. He had a really good year last year, and he's just not doing so well this year. All right, he is currently player number 680. If you're still hanging on to player 680, no. He's given you 2 wins, like that. 39 strikeouts, which is actually less than a strikeout per inning, so we don't like that. A 5.18 ERA, a 1.48 whip. Terrible numbers. Say goodbye to Mitch Keller. I'll give you one last point. You should be looking at your waiver wires probably once a week. I like to do it every couple of days. You want to look at 30 days and 14 days because 14 days it gives you a decent sample in baseball. See players that are starting to get hot. That's why I recommend looking at. If you start looking at season long, especially whenever you're 4 months in a season, a player could have had a super hot streak and then been on a super cold streak. So just look at 30 days and 14 days. Those are the tips I got for you for fantasy baseball. All right, it's that time where you say goodbye, but thank you all for watching to the end. If you haven't yet, please hit that comment, like, and subscribe. We appreciate it. Share if you feel like it. We will be in Vegas June 6th through 10th. Going to have a meetup game June 8th at 1 p.m. at Mandalay Bay. It's a great room, fun. So come out, say hi to us. If you're blessed out of the World Series, come get some merch and have a good time. And we'll be teaming up with the Southern Poker Tour to have 2 meetup games in Shreveport while they're running their tournament, which is June 19th through the 23rd. We'll have our meetup game that Friday and Saturday. Jacob will be there and maybe a few others to come out, hang out with us, and have a great time. Also, our website is live. Please check out the merch. If you like something or if there's something you'd like for us to try to make for you, just let us know. And we look forward to talking and hearing from you guys next week.